I recently saw Zootopia 2 in theaters and it was absolutely incredible. Ever since I saw it, my brain has become overtaken by Zootopia. Also, please go support this movie in theaters if you can. I remember loving the original film Zootopia when I was a kid. When it first came out, I was in the 7th grade, so I was for sure old enough to appreciate the social message the film tells. I kind of forgot about the movie for a while. It would float in and out of my consciousness over the past 9 years, but it wasn't until I heard that Zootopia 2 was a pretty good movie and I eventually got to see it for myself that I finally revisited the original movie and became hyperfixated on one of the main characters, Nick Wilde. I found that Zootopia 2 really had me drawn to Nick as a character in a deeper way than I would have connected to him as a 7th grader. His emotional depth is so interesting to me and draws me in more than most of Disney's other protagonists. He stands out from other Disney protagonists in a way that I didn't really notice until I really dig deeper into his character. He has a deep trauma that affects who he is in the present, and the Zootopia films help reveal who he truly is deep down, and dissect the different aspects of his character that he suppressed for so long due to society's perception of him. Just because he is a fox, Nick has been unfairly prejudiced against, which caused him to close himself off to avoid being hurt. He realized that everyone was always going to see him as one thing, and he didn't want to let himself believe he could be more if others were just going to continue tearing him down, so he didn't bother trying to be anything else other than what the world saw him as, until he met Judy, who had that idealistic, childlike worldview he once had, and she helped him see that maybe he could be more. Nick is so deeply guarded, but he lets down his walls in the first film in order to pursue what is right. He sees that Judy is about to be denied of continuing to pursue the case of Emma Otterton, and he steps in to stand up for her and for what's right. He knows that Judy has a deep sense of justice, and because of what he's seen, what happened to Mr. Monches and Otterton, he knows Judy needs to keep pursuing this case, because she has that moral compass that will lead her to find what is the truth. After this moment, he finally opens up to Judy, revealing the reasons as to why he is who he is. This is the first look into the depth of his character, beyond the facade he puts on to avoid getting hurt. He always had a sense of justice and wanting to do what was right, wanting to join the Junior Ranger Scouts as a child. He was the only predator in the group, but he didn't expect to be treated differently. The other animals in the group bullied him by putting a muzzle on him, which forever changed his perception of the world. He felt so betrayed, he thought no one would ever see him as anything other than just a predator. From then on, he leaned into being a shifty con artist, a sly trickster like everyone assumed foxes were. The line he says to Judy before revealing his backstory reveals so much about him.
Never let them see that they get to you.
He doesn't want anyone to know that their perception of him or their treatment of him hurts him. He doesn't want to reveal that side of himself. In some sense, he's embarrassed of that. Embarrassed that he ever believed that he could be more. He wants to keep up that facade that he created and be the one in control. He doesn't want others to have that power over him, like the way the other animals had power over him when they put the muzzle on him. It's such a deep and interesting emotional story that makes Nick such a fascinating character. I also think it's so interesting the character development Nick goes through in the sequel. I feel that if this was the first case he had ever gone on with Judy, the conflict they have in the movie would have been much different, but it's because Nick has finally let someone into his life, let down his guard, let someone get to know him, and he got to know her. And he realized that he actually really cared about her, that it absolutely terrifies him to see her in danger. He has to say something because he wants to protect her, he wants to keep this partnership going, as it has changed him, caused him to finally accept all aspects of himself. This is such a great move for his character and shows the ways he has been changed by her. He cares about justice just like Judy, but he also now cares about her, and because of that, he feels the need to put her first above everything else. This causes a disconnect between them that leads to a moment in the film where he finally confesses to her those feelings of caring about her and not wanting to lose their bond. It really just helps develop both of their characters in such a great and meaningful way. And this story just works perfectly for him in the sequel because we've seen how he has grown in the first film, so it just all makes perfect sense and is written so well. Digging into the behind the scenes of the first film, it really helped me to contextualize why Nick is such a deep character. I really think the original concept of the film had a significant impact on the way Nick comes across in the final film. The original concept of the film had Nick as the main character. I think that detail right there is super important to determining why Nick is one of Disney's best protagonists. The whole story was originally centered around him, and I think because of that, the depth that came from his character in that original enactment of the plot ended up translating into the character that we see in the plot that unfolds on screen. I mean, how could it not? He was originally written with the intention of being the main character, so when the story was reworked, all of those intricate depths to his character that are required for main characters were translated into the final version of the character. In every iteration of this story, Zootopia always had a focus on the relationship between predators and prey. This came from the filmmakers' research trips to Africa, where they learned that 90% of the animal population was prey and 10% were predators. There was always a large difference in numbers between the two groups, both in real life and in the Zootopia that the filmmakers created. Zootopia's story concept always ended up focusing on the relationships between predators and prey living together in the same city, and the underlying discrimination and prejudices that could come from that. With Nick as the original main character, the concept revolved around his experience as a predator living in Zootopia. The original concept told the story of predators in Zootopia having to wear tame collars once they reached a certain age, so that if there was any risk of them attacking prey animals, they would be shocked. It was a pretty dark concept for a story, and I totally get why they didn't end up going down that story route, but it's still so interesting and so emotionally deep. I wish there was some way we could also get this version of the story. Co-director Rich Moore explained that the story was changed because Zootopia felt too dystopian in the original version, and it didn't seem like a setting that the audience would want to root for, especially seeing Nick being oppressed throughout the film. I totally get that. It's pretty difficult, I'd say, to root for a dystopian society and to want the main character to stay there. They always wanted to make Zootopia a place that was special and admired by the animal society, but also flawed, and it just wasn't working with Nick as the central character of the story. The audience wasn't rooting for the city as a place where they wanted Nick to be. Moore said that everyone just wanted Nick to get out of the city. Because they wanted to make a setting where the animals could coexist and that the audience didn't despise, they ended up changing the story to focus on Judy as the main character. And they removed the tame collars from the story, shifting the focus to a mystery of missing animals that ultimately uncovered prejudice in the city. I definitely think it worked to change the outward discrimination against predators that was present in the original concept to discrimination that is slowly uncovered as the story moves along. It hits even harder when the audience realizes the underlying discrimination in the city, and the discrimination that Judy didn't even realize she had. After following Judy's perspective, seeing the city as a beautiful place where everyone coexisted and where every animal's dreams can come true. The optimistic rose-colored view of the city being slowly deconstructed is such a great story, exposing the multifaceted city and exploring the character's own perceptions of the world. It makes Nick's story hit so much harder, because we've seen him and Judy grow close, but once that pivotal moment comes, when she singles out Predator's natural instincts, it feels like such a gut punch. We've finally seen this closed-off, guarded character let Judy in, and then we see that he realizes that she also perceives predators, such as himself, in the same way everyone else always has. It is a deep betrayal to him and to the audience, especially since he never wanted anyone to know that they got to him. But now, because of what Judy has said, Nick has to let her know that that hurt him. It's so freaking heartbreaking. In the original concept, Nick had a dream to build an amusement park for predators where they could take their tame collars off and be free to have fun. One deleted scene shows his relentless attitude as he approaches different prey-owned banks, trying to get a loan to open the business. The deleted scenes from the original concept of the film really emphasize the empathy and determination of Nick's character, showing how he has been rejected because of who he is, but keeps trying, and also how he has seen others like him go through the same things, and he wants to bring something better for them. He wants to bring some sort of happiness to their lives. These are great qualities for his character to possess, and while they are more outspoken here, in the version of Zootopia that we get to slowly uncover them, which I think is very effective. It's nice to see the character with such a tough facade slowly have their deepest emotions and personality traits revealed. When the story switched to Judy as a main character, they were able to use her outlook on the world to center the story. We got to see how she perceived her place in the world, and how she defied everyone's expectations to end up moving to Zootopia, where she believed every type of animal could live in harmony. We see how she has been prejudiced against because she is prey, and then we also get to see how she has that own prejudice deep in her subconscious of how she perceives predators. We get to end up meeting Nick from her perspective and learning about him as she learns about him. Decentering Nick a little allows the audience to uncover all the different aspects of his character just as Judy does, and going on this journey with her helps us to empathize with him as a character even more. When we learn about his past and then see the betrayal he experiences from Judy, it hurts so much harder because we've seen how guarded he was and how he finally trusted someone enough to open up about the thing that broke him so long ago, and it's just so perfect. Nick as a character has so much depth, from his backstory to the way he perceives the world to the hurt he experiences from others and the hurt he has inflicted on himself from boarding up his walls. It's just all so good and makes his character so intriguing and impactful. I think the amount of work that went into him originally being the main character of the story to the story being reworked and having his layers being slowly uncovered is a big contributor to that. Along with all of this wonderful writing, Nick is also just one of the most charismatic characters to ever come from a Disney movie, a large part due to Jason Bateman's voice acting.
I have a building lined up, I have the plans, I have the staff, I have a dream. The only thing I don't have is a loan to make it happen, friend. Will you help me make it happen?
But also because of his brilliant animation. He is such an expressive character. The way he breaks down crying as a child after pulling the muzzle off his face is absolutely devastating. He has such heartbreaking expressions at different points in the film that just express his feelings in such a genuine and relatable way, and in a way that you don't even need words sometimes, and it just makes him like such a great character. Like, you can relate to him through just those looks. Like, wow, you can tell what he's feeling, and it's just so impactful. In summary, I think Nick Wilde is highly underrated in the realm of Disney protagonists. He has such a great story and emotional depth to his character, as well as his extremely charismatic personality, that makes him one of the most well-rounded and best-written characters to ever come out of a Disney movie. Going down the Zootopia rabbit hole has made me appreciate him even more as a character, and I just gotta say he's a top 5 Disney character for me now. Thanks for watching this video. I've been super obsessed with Zootopia lately, especially the original concept of the movie, and I just wanted to gush about the beautiful writing and Nick as a character because I just love him so much. Please like this video if you liked it, and comment below, let me know what you think about Zootopia, Nick as a character, and subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks for watching. Also, random thought I had, but why is Zootopia called Zootopia? Do the animals know what a zoo is? I'm just a little confused.